everyone. I'm very excited because we've got Joseph back, our favorite astrologer. And today, how are you doing, first of all, Joe? Are you doing well?
I'm doing well today. I mean, the energy feels good, but these waves of energy that are coming in are just, I don't know how they're affecting you, but I know they're affecting everyone. And
Mm,
sometimes you feel great. Sometimes you just want to lay down and do nothing. You
yeah,
know, it's the weirdest thing.
that's how it's been affecting me, actually, that I'm either really full of energy, like more than
Hmm.
usual, or
Hmm.
I get a period of time through the day where I just feel so tired and it lasts for
Yeah.
about maybe an hour and then it
Yeah.
passes. It's
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. That's it. I usually, it's in the afternoon usually, and I just lay down for 15, 20 minutes just to get
yeah,
the blood and the oxygen moving. That's about it. And then
yeah.
I get back up again and go do something else,
Yes, it's
you
it's
know?
just a short window of time that hits you, and it's
Yeah.
almost like for me, it's like you just can't keep your eyes open. But then as
Right.
quickly as it comes on, it goes again.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. And these are the waves of energy coming in from space.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the, galactic energy. We have the sun energy. We have some form of energy that scientists know about, but they won't tell us.
Mm,
So we're sitting here feeling it, but something's affecting us physically.
it's
You
definitely
know.
different at the moment. So,
Yeah.
Joe, I understand today that you're going to talk to us about the two eclipses that are coming up, one on September the 17th and October the 2nd.
Oh yes.
Then what is sort of topical right now are the three people, Kamala Harris, Trump, and of course Musk, who's just been offered that new role um,
That's right.
in the Department of Government Efficiency, which also
Hmm.
stands for Doge, as in Doge.
Mm. How
And
about that?
yes, which is very interesting. And also for those people that obviously follow me, I was saying about a year ago that he was going to be offered a presidential role, Musk. And of course, everyone was saying he can't be offered the role of president because he's not a US citizen. But the actual title was presidential role, which is something different because now as we move
Hmm.
into what my channelings have been calling the new setup, we
Hmm.
now hear from the Trump team that they're doing this transition project where they're transitioning government. And so
Hmm.
where I've been talking about the new setup, this transition setup is what they were referring to. So it's all very topical right now, Joe.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'll be interested to see what you've got on those three. But first of all, let us know what's happening with these eclipses, please.
Absolutely. Well, it ties in perfectly, Michelle, to what you're saying. You see, this eclipse coming up on the 17th is very powerful. It is a full moon lunar eclipse, and lunar eclipses bring in endings and completions. There's cycles that come to an end, a completion. And Pisces, being the last sign of the zodiac, is about the end, the finishing up, completion. And then, because Aries starts the zodiac. So we have a lunar eclipse that is in the sign, the last sign of the zodiac, and it's being joined by its ruler, Neptune. Neptune is rules Pisces, the sign of Pisces. And so what we're witnessing here is an ending to something, a completion to something, a realization about something. And it fits in perfectly with the astrology, with your readings, with what I'm picking up, and so many others, that something is coming to an end. Now, we also have Pluto that has retrograded back into Capricorn. It's at the last degree of Capricorn, 29th degree. And this is Pluto's way of saying, okay, let's destroy every last little bit of the past and, associated with governments, control mechanisms, corporations, monetary systems. And so between the eclipse on the 17th and Pluto going retrograde in Capricorn, it is absolutely showing me something in the government or corporations or monetary systems is coming to an end. So
Mm.
it fits in perfectly with what you're talking about, a new system. And so, that
Sorry, Joe, to interrupt,
no,
but
it's okay. That's
it,
okay.
so you're talking on a big scale here, but does it also
Yeah.
mean that it affects Pisces or Capricorn, or is it just
Yes.
as a general theme around the world?
It affects the well, it's a general theme around the world, but if you are a Pisces, your whole identity will begin to change. The whole perception of yourself begins to change
Mm,
because next year we also have more eclipses in Pisces and Virgo, the opposite sign. So if you're a Virgo, if you're a Pisces, if you're a Sagittarius, and if you're a Gemini, these are the four signs that are going to be affected by all these changes.
wow.
And Mr. T is a Gemini, and
Yeah.
Kamala has a Gemini rising. You
Yeah.
see, so they absolutely will be affected with these eclipses. And
Mm,
Virgo is the opposite sign of Pisces. So these are the four that are going to take hold. Now, Pisces, symbolically represents a lot of things. It represents our spirituality, our connection to source, within us. It represents religions. So religions are going to undergo major changes, which they already have, especially Christianity, because Christianity is ruled by Pisces.
mm,
The Christian fish, you see that in the back of people's cars. And so they're going to be embracing more of their religious aspects or religious beliefs. On a personal level, depending on where this is in your birth chart, it will affect you, psychologically, your sense of purpose, your sense of direction. These are all going to be challenged in the next 6 months or so. But it begins this month. I mean, we're already feeling it. People are going, what am I supposed to do? Where am I going? What's happening? And
yeah.
so they're questioning their reality,
Well, a
you
lot of
see.
people, Joe, that I've been speaking to, and I know that you speak to a lot of people as well, they're having these sort of crisis moments where things suddenly, like almost from nowhere, have collapsed. Things have just suddenly
Yeah.
collapsed, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's health,
Mm-hmm.
relationship, money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what seemed to just be a fixed thing, it was going along, it was doing its thing. It's almost like from nowhere, people are being blindsided and their whole life is being turned upside down. That's what I've been
Yeah.
witnessing. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've been seeing that because I know you
Oh,
have clients as well.
it's actually, well, I'm not reading clients anymore right now because I'm focused on the communities and
Right.
doing videos and getting information out. It's like a very important time for all of us that are in the know to share as much information. I mean, real information,
Mm.
not, dog and pony hogwash. So we're being forced to put information out. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I've met with those resistance as well. I have some property up in Arizona, and I'm trying to get the septic system put in, and I'm getting delay after delay
Yeah.
after delay. And I'm going, all right, well, I can't for it. I'm doing the best I can. So I know what people are feeling. Things are falling apart because the energies are slowing down, because the energies are disruptive right now, and they're doing this on purpose. The cosmic energy is doing this on purpose. It's shaking us to its core, going,
Mm.
hey, wake up, slapping us, going, hey, wake up, wake
Yeah.
up, remember who you are, remember what's real, remember what's going on in this reality,
Yeah.
and we're going to shift it for you. And so that's what's happening. Too many of us have embraced the money, the power, titles, what we have in our possessions. This is all an illusion. And so things have to change. So they're not just happening globally with the politics and the governments and the corporations and the phony money, but it's happening to us personally and how
Yeah.
we've played a part in all of this. Because everything's connected, as you know, Michelle, everything's connected.
And of course, when something external and happens to you in a big way, like a relationship ends or a business changes or something like that, that automatically creates a transformation within you because things that you thought you had control over
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden get turned on their head and you're forced to go within to get your
Yeah,
strength. And so the
right.
things that you were relying on before, whether that's money, possessions,
Mm-hmm.
relationships,
Mm-hmm.
that you realize how fragile all of that is. And if you haven't got your inner strength, then that's when I think it hits people the hardest.
Absolutely. Well, let's think about this for a second. People box themselves into their belief systems. And I'm no different than that. I used to believe certain things and I would create these boxes in my mind, you
Yeah,
know, that
yeah.
this is what I have, this is what I'm going to control, this is what so on and so forth. And now that box is being destroyed, which is our belief systems.
Yes.
And so people are really questioning everything. Where am I
Yes.
going? What's happening to me? And
Mm,
so we, as sort of more aware of the energy and the changes, our job is to try and steer humanity. And I don't mean all of it, I mean the people that we get to not fall apart, to not go into depression, to not go into sadness, because it's not the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it, the illusion of the lies and the manipulation.
mm.
That's the biggest thing that's going on here, you
There's so
know?
much great stuff ahead that you
Mm-hmm.
and I are aware of, either because of astrology or because we sense it or because we
Right,
channel it.
right.
There's this amazing energy around us all the time that we can engage with already. But in the
Mm-hmm.
future, when people come through these changes that are very drastic, they're going to feel that amazing energy as well.
Right.
Because you and I are a few steps ahead, we already know how to manage it. It's
Exactly.
not that we're experiencing anything any different to anyone else. It's just that we maybe have a bit more experience on how to navigate these things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I tend to step back from them and allow it to happen rather
Mm-hmm.
than the old me. I didn't put things in boxes, but I used to try and force things to happen.
That a girl.
Try and force it. Come on, if I push this a bit harder, it'll work. And then, of course, in the end, the universe finds a way to break that all down, and you have to
Right.
surrender. And that's part
Exactly.
of this awakening process. So you and I, like you're saying, at the front, we're helping people to perhaps relax back into the process. It's a little bit like being on a roller coaster, isn't it, for people at the moment?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you have a certain personality, if you're a type A personality and you're an achiever or you're a fire sign. Fire signs are all about action. And if
Mm,
they're not achieving, they become destructive, within themselves. They either overeat, start over exercising or just get, very confrontational. The earth signs, on the other hand, they're easygoing and slow, and they're used to the slow mode, and so they could deal with it a little bit better. If you're a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, or a Pisces, you take it more personally and you get very emotional.
yes.
Why is this happening? Nothing's happening. Oh, yeah, and they get all out of whack. And if
Yeah.
you're air signs, you tend to overthink and overanalyze everything to the point where you're getting too much information. And then, you kind of go a little loopy. So you got to be careful of that as well.
Hmm.
But make no mistake, because I've done the astrology for October, and we don't have to get into October, but it is a wild cosmic ride coming in October.
Oh no.
Wild.
More of it coming,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes, yes, yes. There's no easy way out of this. I've put out video after video of what's going on into
Yeah.
2025, and it is a wild roller coaster ride, especially in the United States,
Yeah.
because of Mars being in Cancer, and it will go retrograde on December the 6th on 2024 into the new year. So United States is going to be really going through a massive transformation on some level here, and it's
So
going to
that
be uncomfortable.
that's interesting that you bring that up because when I'm trying to channel about what's going to happen around the election time, they're giving me already that there's three different routes in just around the
Mm-hmm.
Trump team.
Okay.
That's
Right.
just around the Trump team. I
Yeah.
don't really focus on the other side much. I just focus on the overview of how the USA might be transforming, and so that
Mm-hmm.
normally involves, in my channeling, Donald Trump. So
Right.
it's interesting that we're sort of getting these different scenarios that could be coming up, and it could be something to do with this activity in October, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I've made a prediction at the beginning of the year that I didn't think there was going to be an election or there was going to be an event or something taking place that's either going to postpone the election or disrupt it, or there's going to be a lot of chaos around it. And
Yeah.
that's what the astrology is showing me. So
Yeah.
whatever's going to happen, there is a very tricky period coming up. And so it depends, and I think it ties into what you're saying, is depends on how we react. For instance, if you go to these voting booths and there's people fighting and chaos, which is absolutely possible, Mars will be opposing Pluto. That is chaos, that is military intervention, that is very disruptive energy. That may cause a lot of situations to erupt out of nowhere. Okay, so you have that scenario. Then
Mm.
you have Earth movement, earthquakes or volcanoes or anything that involves sort of the natural world. One of the things I did see coming was either a solar event, and that is all in the middle of October coming in. And one of the other YouTubers, David Dubine, does a great job of analyzing that as well, where he says these geomagnetic fields are crossing paths in
Right.
October
Mm.
and it goes all the way through April of 2025. So we're in the thick of it. So
Yeah.
there could be something happening where the weather is affecting us. Again, it could be hurricanes here in the United States. It could be volcanoes. It could be solar events, solar flashes, which have been very intense because we're in solar maximum. Or the third event is a military intervention of some kind,
Or
where
it could be all of them. You
it
know,
could be all of them. Exactly. That's
nothing
right.
would surprise me right now, Joe. We could have everything all come at once.
Exactly. Absolutely. So we're not sure. But as it gets closer, the spidey senses will start picking up on all of this. And
Yeah.
then we have a choice. Nothing is written in stone right now. And
No.
so if humanity in the United States basically shows up to vote and they don't allow the corruption that we had the last time, because there's corruption all over the country. It's all been
Mm.
corrupted, and we saw it here in Arizona with Kerry Lake and the governor. I mean, it was so obvious. On that day, polling booths were shut down. The paper was mismatched to the printers, and so I
Oh.
mean, we saw so much stupidity, and it's happening all around the country.
So did that?
So there may
I missed that, Joe. Was that recently the Carrie Lake thing?
no, this was what, 2 years ago
Oh,
when she
right.
ran for election.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And I mean, we had, I mean, you could just look into it yourself.
Yeah.
The stuff that was going on in Maricopa County was just criminal,
Yeah.
just absolutely criminal.
Mm.
People couldn't vote for hours because they said their machines were down, that they could not vote. And then the paper, somebody purposely used the wrong paper in the machines so it wouldn't take the I mean, this was all done in court. She presented her case in court and everything, and of course everything got shot down because the
Yeah.
whole judicial system is corrupt. And
Yeah.
so we're looking at corruption at the highest levels. So anyway, it could be all of that, Michelle. It could be all of that or none of it. In other words, everything gets shut down and nobody goes to vote and it gets delayed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was another option they've given me.
Right.
It could either go along swimmingly, it
Right.
could either be delayed, or it could just not happen at all. It could be something else where it just never ever happens, and we move straight into this new, what they're calling the new setup.
Right. Well,
Um,
Michelle, no matter what happens, in the election, and there are quite a few people that that said Kamala is going to win. And if that happens, it's chaos. If Trump wins, there's chaos. There's no easy way out of this equation. Okay, I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
yeah,
So, I haven't made a prediction about who's going to win, but knowing what I know, if we do have the election, there's going to be corruption. There's going to be mismanagement. And again, we may see something stupid like at 2 a.m. All of a sudden, all the electoral votes go to Kamala again, like they did for Biden. Does anyone in their right mind believe that 81 million people voted for Biden? I'm sorry, just common sense. Just common sense. The man, was in the basement the whole time,
yes. But
and he can't.
I think the whole thing. I think the whole thing is the election is all a distraction, because obviously what
Yes,
we're heading towards after the election is
right,
this new devolved setup where we're
right,
going to have these new types of leaders like Musk, where they're going to be ambassadors of their area of expertise. So,
Right.
for instance, we're seeing that Musk is going to look at federal government
Right.
reorganization. And
Right.
we've also seen that Robert F.K. Jr. is going to
Mm-hmm.
be, he's already talking a lot about health,
Yeah.
vaccines,
Yeah.
spraying crops, all health related issues.
Right.
And so there's two of these new ambassadors already.
You've
And
got Gabby also.
yes, Tulsa.
Gab
Yes.
Tulsa. Yeah.
Yes.
She.
And so you're going to have different people from different walks of life suddenly stepping forward to help people to start making these, to start thinking about what is it they actually want. It's not that they necessarily want a leader as such. They want a set of things to work in their life. And these people
Mm-hmm.
are going to help them look at these different aspects. They're literally going to be like ambassadors to help people decide, what policy do you want? Don't vote for
Yeah.
Trump. Don't vote for Kamala. Don't vote for people. Vote for what is it you want your life to look like. And
Right.
this is how they've
Right.
been explaining to me for some time that
Mm-hmm.
the new setup is, that's how it's going to be devolved to the people. So really the election is just, this is how I see it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
another wave of emotion to get everybody hyped up in whatever camp they're in, so
Mm-hmm.
that when these ambassadors step forward, people will be ready for it. They'll be ready for, for goodness sake, let's just have some common sense.
Right. Well,
That's
that
what.
makes perfect. Well,
Mm,
that Michelle, that makes perfect sense. Well, I've always known that everything that's going on right now, good, bad, or indifferent, is being done on purpose to distract. And
mm.
excuse me.
Oh, that's.
Um, Thank you. And so it's meant to distract. It's meant to keep people at a certain vibrational awareness.
Mm,
But the most important part is it's meant for them to pay attention.
yes.
Okay. You have the average person on the street now here in the United States paying attention to the political theater because they're realizing that there's corruption, deep corruption, and it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court and the corporations and the monetary systems and so on. So the reason this is all happening is to get people's attention,
Yes. Great.
involved.
Yes, I agree.
That's what it. And so, like you said, once the new system is implemented, it's going to surprise many. I see a lot of shocking events taking place in 2025. It's going to
Yeah.
startle people. And I agree with you. And you were the one that was putting this out last year and the year before. You said there won't be a government like you know it. It'll be a totally different government with no leader. It'll be, like you said, choices. So Trump will step down.
Yeah.
He will not be in charge of any. It'll be, here it is, people. You want it? This is how this is how you're going to have to vote on it. This is how you're going, and they're going to send power back to the states, which is the original intent.
So when you look at, I assume you probably have Trump's chart and
Oh
Kamala's
yeah.
chart and
Oh
possibly
yeah.
Musk.
Yeah.
Um, can you see at the moment, based on their personal charts and where the
Mm-hmm.
astrology is headed as the
Mm-hmm.
USA, how it might pan out for those players going forward?
Sure. Hold on one second. Let me share my screen here
Ah,
and see if.
that'll be
Let me see.
interesting.
Okay. All right. Here's Donald Trump's chart. Can you see it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I did. This was a slide from my last presentation, and people want to check this stuff out. It's on my YouTube channel, Astrologer Joe. Just go to YouTube, Astrologer Joe. And so here's the chart for Mr. Trump right there. So we could see he's a Gemini with a North Node in Gemini and Uranus in Gemini. And we see this is the transiting. This is where the planets are today. Now, each one of these houses represents a different area of his life. And so this is the 10th house of career. This is the 10th house of stature. This is the 10th house of being seen in the public. And he has Uranus right there sitting up in his high point of his chart, which means he's getting a lot of attention right now. And he will continue to, because Gemini will stay in this chart, in this placement, the 10th house, until May of 2025. Then it goes into Cancer. And so we also see Uranus here in Taurus. Now, Uranus, as you can see here, is going to go retrograde. There's that little R there. and it's going to continue to square his square is a tough alignment in astrology. So it's making a difficult alignment to his Mars. So we're seeing a square here where he's having a lot of pressure put on him. And of course, this is political season. And if you
Mm.
watched the debates last night, it was a joke because it was like 3-on-1. The commentators were fact checking everything that he said, but not one thing that Kamala said, that was
Yeah,
checked.
I
I mean, it was
noticed that.
ridiculous.
I did
Yeah,
notice
check
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, so we're seeing him going, being in a more defensive, not in a very strong position. And Jupiter is about to go retrograde. But what I'm getting here is next year, Uranus will switch signs and go into Gemini, which absolutely favors Trump in the next 7 years
Wow.
because Uranus brings in innovation, technology, information, changing things, doing things in a new way. So he is going to be somehow involved in these new changes, whether he's working from behind the scenes, whether he's funding it, whether he's pulling the people together. He is absolutely in this position based on his astrological chart. You
Hmm.
see? Now, he's going to go through a little bit of a tricky time because Mars here is in Cancer. And you see, he's got 1, 2, 3 planets in Cancer. So Mars will continue to make its way down this way. And we look at the other end here, we have Pluto in Capricorn. And it's already beginning to oppose his Venus and his Saturn. But when Mars comes along here, he's going to have a bit of a tough time with whatever's going on. And this is very close to the election. So again, I'm not saying he's going to win, but there's a chance that again there's going to be all kinds of shenanigans taking place around the election. And
Hmm.
it may be that he does not win the election. And I know my people don't want to hear that. The people that follow me, I said, listen, guys, there is that possibility of him not winning the election. So
Yeah.
be ready for that because Mars and Pluto are in a very tough alignment in his chart right there. So there's conflict. And this could be his legal issues that he has going on. They may literally arrest him or cause more destruction and cause him to be in a position where he's weakened. And I did say that the possibility of him, another attempt on his life could be there as well. So he's in a very rough, precarious position going into this election season. And it all begins the second half of October because Mars is going to keep going down here. And then at the end of the month of October, it is in perfect alignment with all of these things going on here. So he's got a very tricky October going into November. I'm sorry to have to report it, guys, but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's Mr. Trump. Now, you want me to look at the other charts?
Yes, it's very interesting. Let's see what's happening with
Let me
Kamala.
see if I have Kamala Harris's chart. Here we go. Let's see. I got her chart here. Okay, here's Kamala Harris, and I had it for the new moon last month, but you'll get the gist of it. Here is her chart. Okay, so she was born under the sign of Libra right there, and her moon was opposite in Aries, so she was born under a full moon. So right away, when I look at a full moon brings along tension. Libra is about balance and fairness, but the moon is in Aries, the sign of conflict and battle. So there's this battle going on with inside of her. You see, wanting to be fair, wanting to be nice, wanting to be aggressive. So she's very passive aggressive,
Mm,
okay, in her personality. You can
right.
tell, you can just look at her. She becomes aggressive, very passive and laughing. So you could see it. But if we look a little closer, look at Pluto, transiting Pluto. These are the transits where the planets are today. Look at Pluto at 29 degrees, squaring her moon, squaring her sun. This is a giant T square. This
Right.
is causing a lot of psychological issues with her right now, even though we may not see them. Maybe she's drinking a little bit more. Maybe she's stressing out when she's not on camera.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, there's definitely a psychological component taking place here with her. And she's dealing with power structures behind the scenes because this is the house of the hidden realm of, people that are pulling the strings. So she's got very powerful people behind her, telling her what to do.
Mm,
So we see that. Okay, that's one aspect of it. Then we go to a horizon sign, which is in Gemini, the twins. Okay. And so this is where it gets a little tricky because she's got the North Node in Gemini. Now, anyone that has a North Node in the first house, usually has identity issues. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I'm not sure. And so, since she has the sign of Gemini there, this is the duality, the trickster. So she shows you what you want to see. She plays along with, she should have been an actor, an actress or something, because she could be very good at changing her personality and going along. And one of the things she does, which is indicated here with this Gemini rising, is when she's speaking to a black audience, she pretends she's black. When she's speaking to an Hispanic audience, she pretends she's Hispanic. You see? And so that's the chameleon. That is the, I'm not sure who I am, but I'm just going to go along with the flow. I'm going to be who people think I need to be. Do you see what I'm saying? So that is absolutely in her chart. And she's got Mars in Leo. So she could be a very good entertainer or performer or turn on the charm when she needs it. Okay.
So
But when I look at her chart here, what's that?
She doesn't seem to be very authentic.
Right, exactly. Libra, one of the downsides to Libra is they have trouble making decisions and they rely heavily on others. Okay. And then you have the Gemini rising, which loves to overthink things, and it's the sign of the duality. But the North Node is what really is the issue with her. The North Node in the first house, like I said, is this: I'm not sure who I am really. I'm just going to go along with the flow. You see? So you got the indecisiveness of the Libra and the tension of the full moon, and then this energy in the first house going, I'm just going to go along with whatever comes my way, which is fine. I'm not criticizing that, but that's her personality, you see? Right. And so there's this back and forth ping-ponging effect taking place with her. But when we look into November, and I don't have a chart, I didn't pull up a chart for the November election, that Pluto and that Mars are going to be in the second house. And so that Mars is going to be right here. It's going to, and the Pluto is going to be right here, and they're going to be making a giant T-square over her chart, which again signifies power struggles, power, something to do with power, and the people behind her are going to be implementing something very important. And so I would say that whatever happens in the election, it's very possible Kamala comes out on top, because whoever is behind the scenes here is doing some heavy pulling and heavy lifting.
Yeah.
You understand? Heavy manipulation. We also have Uranus here. Look, Uranus is going to backtrack a few more degrees, being on her Jupiter. So again, I'm suggesting that, again, there could be something going on behind the scenes, whether it's the AI, whether it's, people working for her. There's something going on behind the scenes that could have her in the upper hand position. So again, I've already made my prediction. I don't think there's going to be an election, or there's going to be some sort of intervention. But whatever it is, it could be Kamala comes out on top. I'm just putting it out there. I hope I'm wrong. I'm just saying, because this, like you said, Michelle, this could all be a distraction. This could all be a distraction, and the white hats will just be buying more time. But whatever happens, unfortunately, whether it's Kamala or Trump, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be disruption. There's going to be anger. There's going to be frustration because of Pluto and Mars being in an opposition position in the United States' chart. You see?
It's going to be an emotional roller coaster.
Yes, it will be. Exactly.
I mean, the other thing possibly that could happen is they could get 50-50 of the votes each. And then that's even more confusing if we don't.
And that's very possible.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. That could be a possibility, because both of their charts are not very strong, going into the election. They are not.
Yeah.
And so we have to look a little deeper and see what's going on here. And it's not favoring either one of them. So yes, it could be a 50-50. And then, of course, the Supreme Court gets involved like they did in 2000. You see? And that is a very possible scenario of a repeat of 2000, the year 2000.
That's interesting. So we've got quite a number of things could be going on. We've got
we do.
Kamala win. We've got a Trump win, or he could end up with a legal issue. We've got people putting the strings at the back of Kamala, and so it depends who those people are.
Exactly. That's
We've got
right.
these geometric storms that you were talking about. We've got this
Exactly.
military intervention because there might be some social unrest. And then
That's
we've
right.
got the possibility of having a 50-50 result anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. On purpose. On purpose.
And then, of course, the other option is, as we've seen recently, when CrowdStrike got attacked at the cybersecurity,
Right.
that they had the cyber outage, then the whole lot could
That's
go
right.
down anyway. Everything could just
You're
go completely offline.
that's it. You're right, Michelle. And that is another possibility there.
Yeah.
And I pointed that out in one of my videos, one of these previous videos, that is another option. So we have everything on the table here for something not going right, no matter which direction it goes in. It's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be, yeah, everything's great. No, it's going to be complete either chaos or confusion. And I got confusion. That
Well,
was the thing I saw, was lots of confusion.
it's true, Joe, because when I've tried to look at it, they've given
Mm-hmm.
me at least three different routes in
Right,
just for the
right,
Trump team. That's just for the Trump team. Uh,
right.
they give me three different variations of what could happen. And that's without
Exactly.
your predictions of geometric storm and
Right.
military and all these other things that could be added in. So it's
Exactly.
a real tense and heightened moment for sure.
Yeah. Now, Michelle, it could occur, everything starts to occur in the middle of October
Mm.
because the energy coming in October is very intense. And I'll have a video on that as well, but I'll just give you a little overview. The middle of October, from the 11th on, all the way to the end of the month, is very volatile.
Yeah.
And that could be geomagnetic storms, solar events, because as I've pointed out, these four outer planets, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter, will all be behind the Earth, and the sun will be right in front of us. Nothing, no planets, nothing in front of us and the sun. And this alignment hasn't occurred. The last time it occurred in this configuration, according to David Dubine at Adapt 2030, and he's correct, since 79 AD. 79 AD was the last time that this took place. And 79 AD, we had a lot of destruction with the planet. There were volcanoes, there were eruptions, there was some sort of weird chaos that was going on the Earth at that time.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I did see a solar flash. I did see extraterrestrial craft in the sky, and I was shown exactly the end of 2024 into 2025. It was clear as day. And this was all of the vision. What's
Yeah.
that?
You had that vision.
Yes, and this was in 2008 and 2009. So this was before any of this craziness going on, and it was very vivid. And
Yeah.
so we're going into it is cosmic activity that's happening also, and so it's all happening all at once. So it's not just the politics and the power structures; it's a transformation. And
So
so I think, go ahead.
no wonder it's so difficult for my team when I'm channeling to try and give me one like line of how it's going to
Right,
work. You know,
right.
as I said, they keep giving me three different routes at the moment, and that's just when you're looking at purely what's happening around, say, Donald Trump and that team. And once you start trying to bring in all these other issues, there's an awful lot going on. So I think that the way they've explained it to me recently, Joe, it's like I was saying before, is that all this is a big distraction anyway, that
Right.
further down the line, we're going to have this new setup, this new transitional government, which
Mm-hmm.
is now what
Right.
they're announcing,
Right.
around Musk, that he's going to have this
Mm-hmm.
be part of this transitional period of time.
Right.
So
Right.
what's his chart looking like
Well,
at the
let's
moment?
take a look. I think I've got it here somewhere. There it is, Elon Musk. Okay, there we have Musk's chart. And to be honest with you, I haven't spent a lot of time on his chart
Hmm.
because I've been busy with other stuff. But we know he's going to be making a major role in here. So let's look at his chart. He's born June 28, 1971 at 7:30 a.m. in South Africa. So we see the sun position here is in Cancer. He has a Cancer rising and a Mercury in Cancer. Okay, so the sun in the 12th house is somebody who likes to work on his own or behind the scenes. And that's what he's really good at, getting down to the nuts and bolts and figuring things out. He has a fantastic memory. Cancer is often associated with having a very good memory. So is Pisces and Scorpio. So we see that here. He's a very family oriented person. That's the sign of Cancer. Now, because Mars is going to be going over here, it's no surprise that, actually, let me pull that up right now. Hold on a second. This is my software. And so, okay. So I just pulled them up just generally here. See, Mars is sitting on his chart right there, on his sun. So Mars is activating that same energy that it's doing in Kamala's chart and Trump's chart. But for him, it's making him more aggressive or more of a target. Look at what's happened in Brazil. It kicked out
Yes.
X because of the corruption over there. And so he's going to continue to be in the spotlight over the next 7 months. Because remember, Mars is going to go retrograde, which means slows down, goes in reverse. And that's going to be in December the 6th, all the way through next year. I think Mars finally leaves there in June. So he's going to be heavily involved in whatever's going on behind the scenes with technology, with information, or working with a team from behind the scenes,
Yes.
creating something. And it's going to be behind the scenes because the 12th house is the shadows. It's the, working in the dark, working in behind the veil, you see. And he's got Jupiter there too. Jupiter is making a very favorable alignment to his Venus. So he's connecting with very powerful people. Whoever they are, they're very powerful.
Can
Okay.
you see, Joe, if it's anything to do with the financial system? Because they, in my last channeling, was saying that him and Trump are working together on the financial system for the USA.
Yes. Well, he's got Mars. Look, he's got Mars in the 8th house. That's a financial alignment. He's got the moon in the 2nd house. That's also financial. Okay.
Right.
So his job, and I believe they're also bringing in Jack Dorsey from
Yes.
from the other company, right? They're bringing him in as well. So
Yeah.
what we're seeing is Elon is putting together a team to create a technology that we know about the quantum financial system. Somebody is sharing with him technology, and he knows a lot about this because he's a really smart guy. So they're implementing some new technology that is going to run the financial system because he's a financial guy. He's a numbers guy, which is finance.
Yeah.
So he definitely has a hand in all of this. No doubt about it in my mind, looking at his chart with all this stuff in the hidden 12th house. And so he is absolutely going to be a part of this equation. All right. And notice Uranus here. He has Uranus in Taurus, and it's opposing his Jupiter in Scorpio. So this is some sort of innovation that he may be bringing forth with technology, with the financial system, because Taurus and Scorpio are the financial signs. So he has definitely some favorable aspects in his chart having to do with a transformation of some kind, and he is directly involved in it. No doubt in my mind, based on his chart. Okay. But he's going to be doing it from the shadows.
Yes.
He's going to be doing it from the shadows.
This makes sense to me because this year they've been channeling to me that the quantum financial system, the QFS, which most people have been talking about and have been aware of, is actually just a practice platform. They're just testing all the parts of it to see which parts can actually work successfully in a devolved setup. And then those parts that work in a devolved setup will then move across to something called the Q consciousness ID setup, which actually falls under the military. And the military are going to oversee the new banking structure, which I've been told is X.com. And there will be other parts to it. Trump's just announced he's bringing in the Defiant One's cryptocurrency, which will then be run through X.com. But those on the Q consciousness ID side are all overseen by the military cybersecurity. And everything on the test side, which is the QFS, the quantum financial system, that isn't covered by the military. So I think what you're seeing here on the chart fits in with my channeling, that he's working behind the scenes, because that Q consciousness ID, which is going to be overseen on the military side, I think that's the bit that they're developing that we don't see yet.
Yeah. Well, my question always is whether this new system, based on your consciousness, is going to be either run by the artificial intelligence that's going to benefit humanity, or is it not going to benefit humanity? That has always been my concern, because this planet has been run by AI, some form of simulation or control mechanism based on frequencies. And so we're seeing that now. I had the conversation with Jason Brashears all about this. And so whether this new system is going to be an honest one, a fair one, and does it require everyone? Because there are going to be a lot of people that don't want any part of the system. They're not going to want any part of the system. They're not going to, put their information in and have an ID number and all this other stuff. And they may start going back to bartering and using silver coins and stuff like that. So my question is, have you gotten any sort of hint or suggestion that this is something beneficial for humanity, or is it something that is meant to control humanity?
So the way that it's always been explained to me is that it's always going to be about freedom, not about control. And that the way it's going to read you is through your consciousness in terms of your toroidal field. So that'll be one part of it. So the consciousness of us as an individual is unique to us. And so it's all different parts of our being. It's the magnetism from our heart, which is the toroidal field. It could be your DNA, it could be your fingerprint, it could be your iris, and it could also be, this is something new that they gave me recently, it could be the brain wave that you emit when you're asleep. It's called the delta wave.
Right.
Now, I understand that the delta wave is slower than other waves in brain activity, and so it's easier to read. And I assume, because they've told me that we all have a unique delta wave. So basically, each part of those things that I've just said, if you put them all together, you have a very unique system for each person, a consciousness system.
Sure.
And the way that the reason why I think it will be for freedom is because that ID links into all the devolved systems that they're developing at the moment, in terms of the banking system's going to be devolved down. We're going to have the free speech platforms. We're going to have the devolved voting systems. And all the ID really does is just open your laptop or gives you access to these apps. So the way that it's been described to me is it's a system for freedom, not for control. And it's always been described like that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to, take that under advisement. I'm going to obviously pay attention to this, because, once you have your biorhythms of your energy into an AI system, that's dangerous, in my opinion, because if somebody manipulates the AI, you're basically toast. They could literally take your entire biometric print and put it into another being, and they already have the technology, by the way, that. And so, they could create another one of you without you even knowing it.
This is true. Yeah.
And so, those of us that look at everything go, how controlled do we want to be? How literally controlled do we want to be in this society, in this world? I mean, I know it's controlled now, but we still have a little bit of individual freedom, to do little things, but if this type of implementation takes place, there are going to be a lot of people skeptical, and a lot of people are not going to participate in this. So I think it's going to be a generation or so before they actually can implement it.
Well, the thing is about this as well, Joe, is that it's not, to my knowledge, it's not actually developed as such yet. The consciousness ID, my understanding is that it's still in more or less theoretical terms at the moment,
Right.
um,
Right.
because someone that I've been speaking to has been explaining to me that we need a different type of computer anyway. Someone explained to me we need something called a neuromorphic computer.
Right.
Now, I haven't
Right.
tried to channel that yet, but it's on my pad.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Well,
this is basically a computer that can that has a consciousness that can work with your consciousness. It can think
right.
and expand
Yeah.
and act like a brain. Because
Yes.
neuro is obviously the brain, and morphic means to change shape, to morph
Right.
something. So,
Exactly.
I mean, to when I say all these things, they just sound. It's hard to imagine what that's going to be like. Um,
Yes.
but I,
Yes, it
you know,
will.
maybe that's the answer. That maybe that's the type of computing that we'll have in the future, and maybe that won't be AI controlled. I don't know because I haven't researched it or looked at it.
Right.
I think that all the things that you're saying are exactly things that should be addressed and looked at for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But no doubt about it, I would agree with you that there's going to be some new form of technology that runs everything because of the outer planets, because of Pluto going back into Aquarius. That's the sign of the robot. That's the sign of technology, innovation, doing things in a new way. And then Uranus later on, I believe it's in July of 2025, enters Gemini, another communication sign. So look from July on next year to 2025 on into 2026, new systems that are going to be implemented. And they do involve technology. They do involve, anything to do with innovation. That's absolutely going to be in the picture. But unfortunately, the next 7, 8 months, it's going to be this weird, uncertain time. Okay, it's a major transitional time where we are either stuck or we feel frustrated or nothing's going on. That's what I get. I don't know if you got
It's
that
funny
too.
that you say that, Joe, because I've kind of had a bit of a year feeling like that. Kind of feel like
Hmm.
I'm just staying still.
Right,
I don't feel like I'm going back, but I
right.
also don't feel like I'm going forward. It's a funny feeling. Uh,
Yes, it is.
it feels like Groundhog Day. You get up,
Right.
yeah, you do the same thing, and you
Hmm.
don't seem generally when we do our activities at the end of each day or week, we feel like we've achieved
Right,
something. But
right.
this year, I've been feeling like whatever you do, you just kind of feel in the same position. Is there something
Ex-
astrological that's making us feel like that?
no, no, not necessarily. I think it's the cosmic energy. I think it's whatever energy that we're being bombarded by.
Mm.
That's causing it. Because from time to time, I hear the high pitched squealing. So I know that's coming from the galactic center or the earth ringing or whatever it is. It's causing that. And I agree with you. But remember, we're also dealing right now with some heavy earth energy. Let's say Uranus has slowed down to go retrograde. Pluto has been in Capricorn. That's heavy energy. The astrology has just been indicating nothing major, but just a transformation. So we got that energy that's at a standstill or nothing major is occurring. And I think the cosmic energy coming in is forcing us to sit still. It's forcing us to pay attention because the dimensions or the energies collapsing down within us in every cell, the dimensional reality. And so it's forcing us to stay still and forcing us to pay attention to who we are. I mean, you could look at any spiritual person. I mean, look at the monks in Tibet or the yogis in India. They go out on a pilgrimage, pilgrimage. They'll do it for months at a time. Very little food, very little water. And what are they doing? They're going within themselves to open up the reality to their worlds. And so this is what's happening to us right now. The universe and its infinite wisdom, uh, the AI, whatever you want to call it, is forcing this energy upon us in order to slow down and realize what's real, what's not real, what's important, realize we're going through a transition. Then later on, in a few years, the earth is going to continue to change. Volcanic activity, more tidal waves and all that. I've already talked about this. That's coming too, because the earth is going to go through a magnetic field, continues to go through its magnetic field shift. So
Yeah.
not only are we going through it, the earth is going through it. And
Yeah.
so these are part of it because we're part of the earth, we're part of the planets. Those vibrations are in our cells. And so even though we are so used to running around and achieving and wanting things and doing this and doing that, the messages I've gotten over the years is just do the little things that make you happy. Go into nature. Do small things that you could do that feel satisfying. It's not about achieving now on a large scale. Oh, I got to make 7 figures this year and I got to have that fancy car and house. No, it's the small accomplishments. It's the little things that make a difference in somebody else's life. These are the things that we just need to focus on as we go through this transitional period. And believe me, it's going to accelerate. 2025, after the second half of the year, it's going to freaking boom, it's going to start accelerating again. It'll be like time just speeds by, you see? And then, we have to catch up to it, or whatever we're going to be doing, it's going to be on a different level of awareness and consciousness. Does that make sense?
It certainly does. And
Yeah.
it's all very exciting what's coming up
Oh,
this
yeah. Oh,
October
yeah.
and November. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all unfolds. And the fact that the two main players are both Gemini is also very interesting.
Yeah.
But wow, Joe, that's been really interesting, all that information today.
Well, thank you. Can I stop sharing my screen now?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
there you are.
just checking.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to tell us before we finish today, Joe?
Sure, absolutely. Prepare for October and November. The energy is going to be very intense. October, the second half, starting around the 10th of October, the 11th of October, the energy starts to intensify. So please don't take it personally like it's only happening to you. Oh, poor me. My life sucks. It's not going anywhere, because it's not. It's happening to everybody. And
Buddy.
it's just energy. It's energy going through us. It's energy we have to go through and feel. So it begins in October. And so center yourself, get out in nature, surround yourself with the people and the things that make you happy and fulfill you. Don't focus on the future because we're going through a transition right now.
Yeah,
As we go into November, the energy is very intense with that Pluto and that Mars opposing each other. So we got a lot more intense energy going into the first half of November. It should loosen up after the first week or second week of November. And then we have a kind of this lull period, weird time. And as we wind up the end of the year, we are scratching our heads going, what the heck is going on? And so that's the kind of energy we have.
yes,
Now, whoever's listening to this knows this now. Prepare for it accordingly.
yes,
Remember who you are. You're a spirit and an energy in that suit having the experience.
yes,
Don't fight it. Don't anger yourself and frustrate yourself with stuff you cannot control, you
exactly.
know?
Just go with the
So
flow. And the more you
go
try
with the
to
flow.
control, the harder it becomes. Like
Exactly.
I was saying at the beginning, because we've probably got a bit more experience of managing this, Joe, we've
Right.
learned to just allow things to go at their own pace. Uh,
Exactly.
until you kind of get used to that idea, we're kind of in the old thinking of we must achieve
Right.
every single day, and we push
Right.
against these things, and it just causes us more pain.
Right. Exactly, Michelle. Exactly. So remember who you are every day. I go out in nature, I walk around, I go to nearby lakes or ponds or whatever I got around here. Every
Yeah,
day I do something, that gets me outdoors. And
yeah,
then I always meditate on it. I realize what's happening. I realize who I am. I'm not going to fight this energy. I'm going to do the best I can. When the energy's good, you take advantage of the opportunities or the work that you have to do. That's exactly what I do. If it gets too heavy, then I rest a little bit or I move around a little bit, whatever helps. So it's like we have to adapt to this new energy. That's
I
how you have
agree.
to do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not about coming in 9 till 5 anymore.
No,
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 exactly.
definitely not that. It's about
No,
moving with how the energy feels throughout the day and having
exactly.
that little nap if you need it.
I love those little naps. So,
Exactly. Well,
right. And
that's
it only,
yeah. Go on, Joe.
no, I was just saying, it just takes 15, 20 minutes. Then I'm back up again,
Yeah,
and it says it
yeah,
works beautifully.
Yes, it's just these little pockets of energy that come
Right.
in that wipe you
Right.
out. You have like a
Hmm.
cat nap,
Right.
or you just sit quiet for a little while, and then it comes back. The energy comes back again.
Exactly. That's
Very
it, Michelle.
very
That's
interesting.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. It's
Anyway,
exciting times, though. It's very exciting times. So,
thank you so much, Joe. It's been very
well,
interesting.
thank you, Michelle.
Uh,
Wonderful catching up with you again.
really, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens around this election with this build-up that you've been talking about,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think everyone is going to really enjoy listening to this today. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you. All right.
Okay, see you.
Have a wonderful week. You too. Bye.